Today's visit is on intention intervention. So we're going to look at 4 tips that might help us with intention setting. So we're here today at Mile High Church, which is part of the movement called the Science of Mind and Spirit. The science. I just love that. In college, most of my courses fell into 4 main areas: biology, chemistry, anatomy, and psychology. And my favorite job ever combined all of those. And I worked for a psychiatrist, and we did phase 3 clinical trials for new treatments for depression. We looked at things like Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft, Lexapro, Celexa, and I loved it because it had that combination of the fields of study that I adore. And I think that's what I love so much about science of mind. It blends together what we know about science, that everything is energy vibrating at certain speeds, and what we know about spirituality is that everything is energy that emanates from the same divine source. So the other thing that we have in Science of Mind is just a plethora. So many spiritual practices we can engage in. We can meditate. We can be active with our mindfulness, noticing what's going on in the moment. We can journal. We can walk in nature. We can use music, all kinds of things. But 4 of my favorites are the VIPs of our faith tradition, the VIPs. And I call them very important practices. And the VIP also stands for visioning, intentions, prayer, and sharing. So let's look at all 4 of those today. So visioning is something I love, I use, I credit it with saving my life. And it simply means using our divine third eye, that powerful chakra. In my case though, in dealing with some brain tumor activity, I don't so much visualize my light shining out as I do something like a 4th of July finale firework that's instead shining inward. And those sparks of light go to anything that's not going toward my greater good, and it just sizzles it into nothing. That's one of my favorite visualizations, and I have many. Okay, the second one is intentions, and we're going to loop back to that. The third one is prayer, and prayer works. I think that's been well proven in my life. And in my life as a practitioner and in a minister, I've seen that people so often come in with 5 big concerns they want to take into prayer. Do you know what they are? Have you had many of them like I have? Some of them that are frequently shared: having a clear purpose in life, starts with a P, having a great paycheck, having a great place to live, having a great person to live there with, and having great physical health. And sometimes I've prayed for a parking space even. So all of those things, and I think prayer works for all of them. Okay, probably not the parking space, but all of the others, because we know that the spiritual law upon which prayer works is that we are praying to change ourselves. Our prayers don't change God, they change us. They refine what we want, they clarify it, and they help us to set forward on a path towards it. So the third one is the S for sharing, communicating, communing with other people. And that's just so essentially powerful, because our words do have power. Thoughts are things, thoughts thicken into things. And even the Bible said, in the beginning was the Word of God. So we know that it is just eminently important. And I think of it as not just so much speaking my words, but it's really, I think the power lies more in the sharing of your heart's desire, the communication of it, and the communing with other spirits on the planet, with your beloveds. And so let's loop back to these intentions. Have you set any intentions later? I know that we've done those here at Mile High in some of our workshops, and we've done that to a certain extent in our Wednesday night healing support group. And some of the intentions that have been voiced are to exercise more, to save more, to lose more, or some weight. Were any of those on your list? Well, I want to share one of mine just as an example. My mind works on examples, here today. So one of my intentions is that I will eat more and different kinds of leafy greens in my salads. So I like to have an intention that is in line with my overall goals, and I also like for it to be a SMART goal. You can Google this, SMART, all caps, and look for what a SMART intention or goal would be. And it's just those 5 things. It is specific, and it's measurable, and it's achievable, and it's relevant to your life, and it has a time frame on it. So a good goal, in my case, would be eat more greens. Okay, a better goal would be I'm going to double the amount of different greens that I put in my salads twice a week for the next month. So in that way, it would achieve all of those goals. Now, I want to digress just a moment here to yesterday when I was rolling my trash cans out to the curb. And I saw one of my neighbors, we'll call him, in heavy quotes, we'll call him Dave. And he said, "Hey, Linda, Happy New Year. What'd you resolve to do?" And I said, "Eat more collard greens and Swiss chard and bok choy." "What did you decide, Dave?" And he said, "I'm going to ingest fewer foreign substances." So I said, "Oh, what do you mean by that?" And he goes, fewer drugs and alcohol. And I said, "All right." So his goal is general, just to do less of that. And his goal is more toward breaking maybe something that's an unhealthy habit. And I'm here to tell you that's more difficult. It's more difficult because of our brains. And so I would maybe, if he ever asked me, which he didn't, out at the trash cans, what else he could do, I would say share that with someone and maybe fine tune it a little bit. There are some tips that go along with having a great goal going forward. And one of those is simply, these are simple, there are 4 of them. They're simple, but they're not easy. The first one is to write it down. I wrote my silly one down about my salads in my mind, body, spirit journal. That's a sacred place that holds me accountable. So I wrote it there. So just to recap these first 3, the first one is to write it down. The second one is to look at what you've written and see if it's a SMART goal, if it meets those criteria. And then the third thing is to share it, to tell someone, like your prayer partner or a friend, or if that doesn't work, call or email me here at Mile High Church and you can tell it to me. And then the fourth one is to tell your brain what you've decided. And some of this information I've gotten here today, I've gotten from a book written by B.J. Fogg, and it's called Tiny Habits. Now, Dr. B.J. Fogg is the director at Stanford University of the Behavioral Design Lab. Guess what he does for a living? He runs scientific experiments. I just love that. I think that's a place I'd like to work too. And so he looks a lot at social science research. His research is done with the behavior of humans. And so he says something really interesting to us. He says, if you can cause yourself to feel a positive emotion by celebrating your efforts, whether they be big or small, then you have 67% more likely chance of maintaining that effort long term. So as metaphysicians, doesn't this ring true for us, we can cause ourselves to feel positive emotions. We've talked about this before, but it simply means dialing down the voice of the inner critic and dialing up the voice of your cheerleader. So root for yourself. Your mind is within the divine mind, and within that divine mind, you can pull positive statements. You've got this. Keep going. This is possible. You're doing great. And when you, I'm going to say, dope up yourself with all that dopamine coming from your hypothalamus, your chances of succeeding on your intentions go up a whopping 67%. That's amazing. And so sometimes we can assist our brain, we can actually be the cheerleader for it and make things more enjoyable by pairing them together. Do you do this already? Like out on your walks, you listen to your favorite music or a podcast. I let myself binge watch TV if I'm binging while I'm working with my stretchy bands. So anything you can do while you're in communication with your brain to have it release dopamine tells it what I'm doing is more than okay. It's pleasurable right now, and I'm going to keep doing it. So long story short, this self-care idea is to treat yourself like someone you're responsible for helping. Think of who those people are in your own life. Maybe aging parents, maybe your children, maybe siblings, and treat yourself with that level of love and care. Also, just a little bit more on this point about how incredible our brains are. There are actually 100 different regions up there in that little 3-pound organ, and we can use this organ, like BJ Fogg was saying, to give ourselves positive emotions. We can trigger those for ourselves. So lastly, in summary, use your power. You have so much of it within yourself for healthy self-care. Engage in those VIPs, the visualizing, the intention setting, the use of prayer, the sharing with others in your life, and enjoy it while you're doing it. Be your own cheerleader. See you next time.
And now as we just take a deep breath in and close our eyes and enter into that heart space, that space where I know the divine resides always, where that power, that presence that created us, that surrounds us each and every day, is right here in our centered heart. And as I breathe this in, I know that I am one with the divine, that I am that power, that presence, that love, that light. And knowing that I am, so is each one of us. Knowing that we are all surrounded by that divine power. Knowing that it is all good. And as I affirm right here and right now, that I open to the acceptance of what is. Knowing that there is only good flowing to me right now, irregardless of what it appears like. Irregardless of whatever may be that seems out of sorts, I move into my heart space and know that all is well. Knowing that I open to that power, to that love, that ultimate love. Knowing that I am wide open at the top to receive whatever is coming to me. Knowing that I am the I am. And it is with great thanks that I say, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for all that I am given. For this entire life that is mine, this masterpiece, where all the pieces fit together no matter what. I know and I trust and I affirm that there is something bigger at work right here, right now. And I let go of anything that gives me doubt. And I simply trust and move into that faith that is so absorbed within me, knowing that I am surrounded by the healing arms of the divine. And I say, thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as I release this prayer into the ultimate power that is, knowing that it is already done, I let go and I let God. And so it is. Amen.